Good. Well, hello and welcome to this little update about compost. Specifically, we've been looking at peat compost that we've always used on the nursery. Is very traditional, very good products, always work really well, but obviously that has massive environmental implications that are becoming obvious, and peat compost is being done away with, first for retail and then for commercial. But as responsible growers, we would like to move on to peat-free as quickly as possible, and looking for a product that is both practical, economical and sustainable as well. So we did a little trial, just a basic one, just to try. And I'll show you these three products that we right between. So Sinclair peat-free growing media. This is a professional product, formulated for use on a nursery. It's got coir in it by the look of it, and wood fibres, but no peat. It's quite expensive. On that, it's certainly more expensive than peat in terms of cost per litre at least. But we'll be looking at that. That's a product that's not available really for retail. And then this one, which is Westland New Horizon. It's a product which has been rebranded and rebadged over several years. New Horizon name came from the old company. Westland bought them out and took it over. And then for this year, I think, or last year, it's been redone to be made with Bio 3. They call it a boost for instant plant energy, healthy roots, thrive and leaves, and sustains and nourishes for longer. As the bold claims, and we'll see about those in a minute, gives every plant triple the goodness. This is a retail available product, available from Westland, now the biggest supplier of UK garden things, and this is made with coir, pulped wood fibres. Come close. That you can see pulped wood fibres in there. Again, no peat whatsoever. Various sort of bits and bobs. You can see bits of brick on there. There's no green waste though. I think seem to be moving on from green waste as a compost. Yeah, bits of grit which will help with the drainage on there. So in the first instance, I just took those two products and just planted a few plants that were sort of common on the nursery, a couple of shrubs, a bedding plant, heuchera or heucherella, and tomatoes, just to see the difference. Put them straight in, no additives, no extra food. They've just had the same amount of light, the same amount of water. I'm going to show you those results in a minute. But then yesterday, we've been trying this Dalefoot peat-free wall compost. Come close again, Jake, let's have a look. This is made from, I believe, comfrey and bracken. Oh yeah, it says there, look, wool, comfrey and bracken. Soil association proved. I believe that it's organic in its nature, whatever that means these days. It says it's good for pots, easy on the water, good for baskets, bedding and perennials. Baskets, bedding, perennials, these are quite heavy feeding plants and pots, and that's what it says. Look, reduces watering, healthy vibrant blooms, high natural potash, which gives you good flowers. Foliage. Let's have a look at the compost. You think it would smell, but it doesn't. Smells okay. It's got a very similar texture to the other peat-free composts, but it's made in an entirely different way. Oh, it's got the wool in and the bits. Do they call it the dags off the back of the sheep on there? It feels okay. It feels okay. This is quite expensive per litre. Out of the three peat-free one, this is the most expensive. I think a bag like this will cost you 8 or 9 quid, 10 quid. If you have it delivered from Dalefoot compost from eBay or wherever, then you have to pay the delivery as well. So you've got a pallet of that in to try it. They do a range of different ones suitable for different things. So just yesterday we did a little trial with the 4 composts, a control one with the peat, and what I did, very simply, 2 pots of compost straight out of the bag, and then 2 pots of each one with the same amount of added control release fertiliser, little pellets that you can see. Come close, Jay, you'll see the little pellets that you can see in there. So we've done 2 unfed and 2 fed basically for each type of compost. 2 fed, 2 unfed, and then used Ailsa Craig tomato plants grown from seed. Now I've chosen those because tomatoes, you can see these are on the brink of, they're very hungry. They've been grown in little cells. I just put one out. I only planted these yesterday, so it's okay. They've all got very, very similar root systems. They've been grown in the same conditions from the same plant. So they're all in a very, very similar state to start with. Hungry plants, ready for a feed. They will show very, very quickly if they're able to take up nutrients from the compost that they're planted in, if they're able to make roots from the compost that they're in. They'll be a real good indicator of what type of things this compost will be suitable for. So I'm expecting results, to be honest, in a week from these, but we'll give it 2 or 3 and see how things look. But we've already done, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago now, I say just a little pot with these little trials in, and this is the difference. Tell you what I'm just going to do is just open the door, because it's very hot in here, even in my special room. Let a bit of air in. Right then. So this is kind of what I think everybody wanted to see, which is very interesting from our point of view as a grower, and for you guys as home gardeners. The compost that you can buy off the shelf, is it any good? Let's look at, this is probably the most drastic. Come close, come close. Are you going to sneeze? Don't sneeze. And don't talk. Or talk, don't sneeze. I've labelled these, obviously. There is a dramatic difference between the 3 of these plants. And I'll tell you which compost is which in it there, but just come close on these leaves, Jake. Obviously this plant it's half the size of these. These went in exactly the same size, and they are from the same, they're genetically identical from the same. The microphone's behind my back. That's no good. You don't want to hear what I have to say from the rear, for sure. Hold it still, Jake. Stop wobbling. Look. Just pause it a minute, because you're right, okay, we good? You on? Right, sorry about that. Slight technical issue with the operator. Yeah, so look at the differences, and even between these two, which you think, oh, they're okay, they're the same, which is kind of true. But can you pick up the difference? Come very close. The difference is in the leaf colour. This one, bearing in mind these have been in exactly the same place, in the same greenhouse, side by side. It's just these leaves are greener. Can you see that? Does that show? To me, they're like chalk and cheese. It's good sort of growth coming through, secondary growth, which is true on both of those actually. Be happy with that. If we look at the roots, making roots throughout the compost. Very good. Perfect specimen, that one. Same again, look, good roots, evenly distributed throughout the compost. Yep, I'll be very happy with that one. If you hadn't got it next to that one, probably couldn't tell any difference. It's just only side by side. This one looks slightly greener, and I'll reveal which one that one is in. That's the most healthy plant. That is the specimen one I would like to grow. Probably be happy with this. Would be very disappointed with this one. Okay, I'll tell you what, they've all got labels on, but I'll tell you what they are in a moment. So that's the heucheras. They went in, say, same size plug, same plant, identically. These were tomatoes, again went in at the same size, same variety, at the same time. Again, there is a marked difference in these. This one obviously is very disappointing. Look at the leaves, they are absolutely starved. There's been minimal growth. Poor thing's trying to throw out a flower, but that is a very, very hungry plant. If I knock that out, it's made a reasonable root system, but that's been in there 3 weeks. You know how quickly tomatoes root. That should be, the microphone's gone down this one. Hopefully you can still hear me talking, sorry. Ooh, there we are. Yeah, so that's we didn't look at the roots on this one, did we? There's a few, look. But when you compare that to one of the others, there's no comparison. I mean, that difference is obvious, isn't it? We'll come back to those. You didn't give the secret away, did you, by filming the label? Don't look at that. I'll come back to that in a minute. Right. So this one, okay, this is, you can tell it's got good roots on. They're coming through the bottom, which is kind of what I would have expected with a tomato. You have to be careful not to pull those off, actually. That's a plant that is able to feed well. It's been making fruit. Of the three of them, actually, the fruit on this one are the biggest and the best. However, look at the leaves. Definitely a hungry plant. They're not as bad as this one. They're showing more bluey yellow, those ones, but these are definitely hungry leaves. Plenty of flowers on. Got the leaves that are giving up the ghost. Good shoots. Really not too bad, reasonable. I think with a tomato feed on there, that'd be all right. And this is the best one, obviously. It's flowering very well. The leaves, vibrant, healthy green, loads of shoots. Obviously, I've not pinched these out or done anything. You can tell a difference. Look side by side, just on the leaf colour, but it's quite obvious that is a better plant. It's got tomatoes forming on there as well. Interestingly, they're a bit smaller than on that one. There's more of them, and they look better. Right. So, I don't run out of room here, I think. The microphone's gone again. It's determined to go down there. Let's do the paper clips, right? Right. I'm putting them in the order which they go. Right, then try not to film the badges. Geraniums, standard bedding plant, not particularly heavy feeders, although they do very well for a feed. This is the one kind of most surprised at, to be honest, and most disappointed with this compost in particular. It's thrown a flower out. Yeah, it's not the same variety, but the plants were the same size when they went in. They were just small plugs. This microphone is determined to go away somewhere. What can I do with it? I'm going to... I'll tell you what. Just bear with me. Oh, now it's gone down me. Ooh. Right, there we are. How's that? Let's clear this. That's a sickly plant. Oh, I mean, you'd never pick that up. What are you laughing at now? Don't you think about man boobs? Here we are. A little bit of root. That's a discipline. To be honest, I'll throw that away on that. This one looks okay. Got a good root system on. They're reaching down, feeding well, good throughout the compost. It's a sturdy plant, solid stems, a reasonable leaf colour. Again, until you put it side by side with this one, you'd hardly see the difference. I mean, look, that's chalk and cheese. You would hardly see the difference. But you can tell again which is the better plant. And so this is flowering. I mean, that's not an indicator really, but the leaves on this one, they really reveal everything we need to know. Put those like that. Now then, it's kind of the same story almost on these shrubs. These are callistemon that I grew from seed last summer, and they've grown up to this sort of stage at the minute. Again, these were the same size they went in. I chose ones with at least 3 stems on, like that, and they went in. Let's have a look at this one. Now it's got a root system. It's not particularly well established, I say, for being in there for I think about 3 weeks. That's interesting. Okay. In this case, this is the middle one. This strong, healthy, good growth, good leaf colour. This is a strong, vibrant plant. It's feeding well. It's looking well. Let's have a look at the roots on that one. Oh yeah, good, strong roots, top to bottom, feeding roots, watering roots. This is a, don't look at the name, that's a good plant. I'm pleased with that one. And then this is the third one. Again, good strong growth. Let's have a look. Reasonable root system on there. Not too bad at all. You're not getting the names of the compost, are you? That's the big surprise, Jake. Don't get rid of them. So now, look, they go with those. We'll separate all these 3 off in a minute. The final one we did was some hebes, again from cuttings from the same plant at the same time last year. This one did only have 1 stem to start with, whereas these 2 had the 2. But it's kind of the same story once again. This compost, the roots are a bit feeble on there, to be honest. I'm looking for nice, fresh, white growth. It's growing, it's alive, but it's not exactly thriving. It's just sort of existing. The leaves are yellowy. It's got nutrient deficiency. If we let that grow, it wouldn't flower as well. It just wouldn't. It's just not like those other 4. It's not a thriving plant. This one's a different story. Good, healthy leaves, nice turgid stems. Let's have a look at the roots there. Yeah, that's better. A good all-round root system. Plenty of fresh growth. They have like quite a fibrous root system, hebes like that. It's a bit around the edges, but it's doing okay. Plenty of shoots as opposed to this one. You see the difference, look. Plants that have got plenty of nutrients available to them will grow. They'll grow bushy, they will be stronger, stockier, more compact, if that makes sense. That, you know, there'll be a stouter plant. Good word, stout. Let's think of it like that. And then this one, this is what I'd really be looking for. Roots that are making these good branch systems, reaching out, nice, white, fresh roots all the way through on there. Don't want to break that up too much. This compost is a little bit fine, to be honest. It's a bedding compost. It's a little bit fine for shrubs like hebes. Probably holds a bit too much water for them. But look, they're enjoying being in it. The leaves are green. There's loads of shoots. Low down, breaking out at the stems here. It's kind of difficult to pick out a winner between those 2. The real difference is this one. In all sort of 5 cases, the plants that are in that compost, and it's all the same one, just put that there. What's the word? Well, they're rubbish. They really are. It would probably make a difference if they were to have a supplemental feed, and that's why on the back of this, that's why I've done the other trial, half fed and half unfed, and I think that will even the game a lot for this compost. But I'll show you now which compost this is. Westland, New Horizon. So much for all this boost, thrive, sustain. If you had that and put your plants in it, you're going to have to feed those quite heavily, foliar feed to get them in, to get them up to speed. So that's an extra expense. The compost isn't the cheapest anyway, but then we can't really talk about price cost per litre so much as, you know, the environmental cost. It's peat-free, which is the direction we need to go. But by the same token, you know, these plants have now got to be artificially fertilised. They've got to have a nitrogen for sure to bring the greenery. They've got to have phosphate, potassium to help with the flowering. And in the case of some of these, to bring them to strength, they're going to take a lot of extra feeding. These plants that are in here have hardly developed since they went in, and I say it's 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's at least 2, probably 3, could be 4. I don't know. Time goes, doesn't it? So that's that one. So suffice to say, I'm very, very disappointed with that Westland product. What was it? New Horizon. We'll wait and see with bated breath how the trial with the food goes, with the food that's mixed in with the compost. Everybody I've spoken to in the trials we've done in the past before, I say they've needed a foliar feed where you water the feed in the evenings or early morning over the leaves take it in, and that feeds the plant. With some peat-free compost, seems to be the only way, but I've incorporated a feed into the compost to see if that makes a difference. But as for what it says on the bag, well, you can see the results. They speak for themselves. They speak volumes. And that's a real shame, because that product's had a lot of investment over the last few years. And, you know, led to believe that these are the companies that can make a difference. Westland, they own the peat bogs that will be defunct. They will be restoring the peat bogs, and they need to invest their infrastructure into making good quality peat-free compost. That said, we now look at these plants. Not you, and that. Which, to be quite honest, I'd be fairly happy with a bit of extra feeding, which, I mean, I always do anyway. I don't know about you. Use Miracle Grow or Tomarite for fruiting things, or actually this product, Vitax Q4 Professional. This is absolutely superb. I think if we'd put this in, this compost you wouldn't be able to tell it apart from the standard traditional peat compost, but this is in peat-free compost, and it's this one. Oh, I don't think I can lift it up. Sinclair. No green waste. It says promotes strong, healthy root growth. Well, we saw that, didn't we? We did see. I lifted them out, and you could see that the root. That's true. I absolutely believe it. So they've got this West Plus technology. That should be a clue. That is made by the same company as Westland. I think they talk about West Plus in their other composts. It's a way in their other compost. This is entirely peat-free, but in their other compost, the West Plus is a way of reducing the amount of peat used down to about 60%, I think. In this one, so these are the promises. No green waste, West Plus technology, optimum water availability, encourages that. For me as a nursery grower, this is the most encouraging product. It's a shame it costs an absolute fortune. I got this bag for free. I should try and scrounge a lot more as well, because I know that they do it in various presentations, I believe, for bedding compost, for perennial plants and for shrubs. That's the whole lot in just the one. And I've got to say, I am thoroughly pleased, delighted in fact, that a peat-free compost can produce plants of this quality, because in all honesty, that's what we've been used to in times past. Composts that have used green waste. We've been doing this, say, for a little while now. I don't know, maybe 15 years. I think I started doing trials year after year of peat-free against, and that's what I expected. This I'm delighted with. And then you've probably worked out by now that this group of plants was the Clover 100% peat product. That is really the control system, because plants have been grown in this for decades now. The plants that are around today obviously are ones that have been proven to thrive in peat. You know, there's a lot to work with here to get around this. But side by side, there are differences. There's no getting around of it. The plants that are grown in peat are the best ones at the moment, but this isn't a massive step away. These plants are quite acceptable. I say with a bit of supplementary feeding, I think they're going to be all right. Those ones, that's going to need more work than is viable. But I thought that would be interesting for you. The difference is, just off the shelf, it's not a very scientific trial. You know, they do these and have been doing this for a long time. I wouldn't believe everything you see in the Witch magazine. Perhaps I shouldn't say that about peat-free compost, and be careful of what paid gardeners tell you about it. This is just an off-the-shelf, you know, what we picked up. But so we're interested in what this difference is in these plants. Come and get a close up of these, Jake, because we'll tag this video onto these next time. You can see it. These went in yesterday. You can see that's peat. You can see it. The difference between the Sinclair peat-free and the Westland, is that the Westland? Yeah, the Westland, made by the same company. This one's got more coir in it, you can see it in the colour. The issue to my mind with that is that the coir comes from the other side of the world, Sri Lanka. Well, the whole issue of peat reduction, greenhouse gases, greenhouse emissions is fraught with political nightmares that I'm not willing to get involved with. Economic decisions, job losses on a massive scale. But the good news is that in Ireland, at least, I believe they've now closed the last power station that used peat as a fuel source. There used to be 8 of them, burning millions of tons of peat a year. That will make a huge difference. Never mind the use for horticulture. So let's come back to these in a couple of weeks. I'll photograph them in a week. We'll come back in a couple of weeks and we'll see. Hope that's useful. If you've got any questions, I can only answer what I know, which is not a lot, but us in contact with people do know, and suppliers like the Dalefoot, looking forward to working with more in the future, and Sinclair, as that looks like a compost that we'll be using on the nursery. Okay, so thanks for watching. I hope that's useful to you, informative and interesting. If you've got the Westland's New Horizon compost and you've got results similar to that, a foliar feed with Miracle Grow will go a long way to pull those plants back. Perhaps write to them, show them the results. I shall certainly be demonstrating when I see the rep next time from Westland and saying, what do you think of this? Anyway, okay, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. See you soon.